Hello and welcome to the fifth part of this video series. If you didn't already, my name's David Thorne, and in this video we're going to talk about communicating between our front end and our back end that we've now set up. Here's a quick bullet points. Access control allow origin, jQuery $.get request. We're going to go over that, and then we're going to check out what our response is. We're going to read the data we received as a response. We're going to have to pass that data that we've sent from the back end into a JavaScript object, and then we're going to update the DOM using this. So let's go to our app.js file and quickly walk through how it is already. Now, when the window has loaded, the text which should display is welcome to you. If we then comment out our start application and come to here, we then should see welcome to you, okay, as said before. If we then uncomment start application, we then see it should be application started here. Application started is there, yeah? So now what we want to have is a method called get welcome message, and this will take this is a method, and it's going to take a HTML element as a parameter. Okay, and inside of this parameter we're going to say then init.html is then retrieved from backend API. We're going to call it an API, and inside of this method we're going to then say get welcome message, and then pass it the element which it then should update. Let's come back here, and we see here that it updates retrieve from backend API with no errors. We shouldn't have received an error anyway. Okay, so that seems all fantastic. In here we want to be able to implement our GET request. Now, I'm a keen believer in documenting something that you're going to do before you do it. All right, so is execute a HTTP GET request to localhost running on 4200, and the file that we want is api.php, and just to be explicit about this, that's HTTP as well. Okay, if the response is success, then the message from the API should then be shown in the window. If the response is not success, then an error message should be shown. Okay, so there we've kind of detailed what we want to do. All right, now we've got this API URL. It can be that we're going to use this more than once. All right, so let's come up to the top and let's say constant API URL, and then we'll just plop that in there. All right, now we don't have to write it anymore, and if we've got it wrong, then we've only got it wrong in one place. So in order to use the the jQuery Ajax GET request, just say $get, and then this requires a URL, and we'll just say API URL, and then it then takes a callback which will get called upon the request being completed. That then has two parameters or two arguments, and the first one is the data that it has received, and then the status that it got from the server. Okay, so from here let's just pop that back in there again to see what happens. All right, so now as long as retrieve from backend API is displayed, we know that the request was actually completed and something actually happened. All right, so let's come back over here, and application started. Okay, what happened here? Failed to load API.php. No access control allow origin. Header is present on the requested resource. Origin 8080 is therefore not allowed access. Okay, localhost 4200 and localhost 8080 are two separate websites. Okay, therefore you've got to have this this access control allow origin header being sent from the server to say, hey, yes, you can access it. So this is really, really easy to fix before you start taking hours and hours out of your time to try and resolve this. It's simple. Come to your api.php and say header, pop that in. Whoops, no, we want this. Pop that in there, put a colon on the end, put a star on the end of it, and then run it again. And now you see retrieve from backend API. Very, very simple, okay? Nothing worth losing sleep over. Okay, so now we have the data. Let's have a quick look at the status that we've got, because the status is key to us, all right? We don't want to touch that data until we're really, really happy that the status is all exactly what we want. So let's run it again, and we see that we've got status of success. Good. So if we have a status of success, then let's use a switch statement and say status and say success. Did I spell it right? Yes. Break, and then default as well, break, and let's pop our default in here is going to be an error occurred. All right, and our success will be retrieved back from API. Let's remove this console.log now to see what it is that we're actually going to get. And we should get received back from API if our code is all working. Refresh it, retrieve back from API, backend API is what we're getting in the browser, which means our code is working. If we then come over to here, and then we then just say exit here. Okay, we'll just leave it at that for the time being. Don't want to confuse things. And everything is all okay. Okay. So now we need to be able to read the data, because we know that the success is okay. Now we want to be able to read the data itself. So let's console log the data which we received to have a look at it. Refresh it, and we see here that we're getting a string. Okay, this is a string with message hello world from backend application. Exactly how we've defined here. Okay, it's sent back a JSON string, which is all good, but we now need to pass this string to be a JSON object. All right, and we can do this very, very simply by saying const JSON pass and data. All right, and we could actually look what that actually says. Converts a JavaScript object notation string into an object, a function that transforms the results. This function is called for each member of the object if a member, blah blah, and it returns an any as well. All right. So now that we have this, we can change this and we can say JSON.message, because it was an object that was returning, and just to console log as well what the JSON now looks like. Refresh it, and we see now we have a message or an object with a property of message, and our message on the actual screen has been updated with the data that has come from the server. So everyone's happy. We've got the data from the back end. It's updated in the front end, and now we've got this way of communicating between back end and front end. There wasn't rocket science to do. It wasn't difficult. This is just the beginning of doing this. So let's leave it here, and we'll see you in the next video.